Welcome back to the Rob Dibble Show, live from the CT Humane Society. Rob is eating some gorgeous pizza from Giovanni's Bakery right now.
No, I'm not. I'm eating the Italian cookies. And they are to die for. The cannolis, the cookies.
Very good.
This is my cheat day.
Big thanks to all of our sponsors who are helping us out here with the 2023 Puppy Pick'em. 9-5 is your final. It goes to the Kansas City Beefs. Big thanks to Tito's Handmade Vodka, Vodka for Dog People, Hartford Distributors, Bud Light, and, of course, the CT Humane Society. Find them online, cthumane.org. You can check out everything that's going on. And, of course, all the pups that we had here today.
No, they have a surprise coming up for you.
What?
They've got a couple of golden labs.
Oh, no way!
They do. They're outside. I just saw them. They're already spoken for, though.
Wow. There's a bunch of great dogs here today.
Oh, my God. Amazing.
Like, we had 15 in our puppy pick'em. That's not including those Goldens. The Chiweenies. How old were those Chiweenies?
2 months.
2 months? Okay.
Again, that's part of the adoption process. You might be living in an apartment, which you and I both have been in apartments a lot of our lives, and it's usually 30 pounds or less for a dog like that.
Good point, man. Yeah, I ran into this all
even
over the
condos
place.
like down in Florida. That the one that my wife has inherited with her sister, the dog can be no bigger than 30 pounds.
Right.
And they kind of frown on it too because it's kind of an elderly community. So I think it's the situation dictates what kind of dog you adopt. But the Connecticut Humane Society showed us today. There's small dogs, there's medium-sized dogs. I don't think they have the monster-sized dogs that I like, but even the Golden Labs could probably be 70, 80 pounds.
A lot of people are picking up some litters in the NBA.
Well done. I saw what you did there.
It's still going on, man. The NBA trade deadline continues to get juicier and juicier. We just got a report that Russell Westbrook's contract has been bought out by the Utah Jazz, meaning that they do not want his services. They just wanted to be a part of that three-team deal, and they're going to send him down the road.
Send him packing. Somebody will pick him up, though.
Exactly.
But they'll buy the contract out. And a lot of, what is that? Salary cap implications and stuff like that,
That's
right?
a lot of people, and a lot of people why they traded in the beginning, like we were talking about.
Setting up your salary cap for next year as well.
Miami, he got rid of Dedmon yesterday, and they're like, why would you do that? The only reason is just to make room for today and possible deals. Hawks fans should be happy if you're a John Collins fan. I know Dibbs loves this guy. Atlanta Hawks plan to keep John Collins. He has not been moved.
Has not been playing great this season, though. He got his huge extension.
Got his money, yeah.
Got his money, and they're just hoping that he'll get back to the form he had a couple years ago.
Another one we haven't mentioned, I just asked the boys, like, what's up with my Charlotte Hornets, man? Jordan doing anything? Not really. Not much significance. I do like this move, though. The Clippers will be sending Reggie Jackson over to Charlotte, and Charlotte will be giving the Clippers Mason Plumlee in return. I like that one for Charlotte.
I like the Celtics getting Mike Muscala from the Oklahoma City Thunder. They needed another big man. You've got a couple of guys now with Robert Williams and Al Horford, so you need depth at that center position. And the Boston Celtics went out there and they got him and send Justin Jackson and a pair of second-round picks to the Thunder.
So John Wall looks like he may be. Am I reading this one right? Did you guys see John Wall and going back to Houston? Are we going back to Houston? So the Clippers are going to give up John Wall in a 3-team deal. The Clippers are going to send Luke Kennard to the Grizzlies. The Clippers will get Eric Gordon, Danny Green, and a third-round pick as John Wall will be welcome back to Houston. All these guys are going back to a place that they either were shamed out of, like D'Angelo Russell, or just were traded and wanted to be out of there, and now they're going to have to go back to those same locker rooms. West is interesting, dude. It's interesting.
The West got a lot deeper with the talent that went west.
Yeah, I mean, start with Kyrie and Kevin. I do think Kevin Durant. Here's a lot of people have said it. But I think this is the biggest part of Durant going to Phoenix. Health. Will he be healthy?
True.
I mean, when is he coming back? He's had that Achilles injury in the playoffs about 4 years ago, and everyone who has that Achilles injury is never the same when they come back, not for the longevity of it. He could be breaking down. I don't know how much more miles that guy has still on those tires. And if we're thinking beyond this year, I don't know. I'm going to have to see it and for more than just 70 games to believe it.
Is it the 76ers used to be Matisse Thybulle?
Yeah.
He got sent to the Portland Trail Blazers. The 76ers get Jalen McDaniels, 2 second-round picks. It's a 3-team deal. The Charlotte Hornets get Svi, I can't pronounce his, Machilikuk.
Hope he can shoot.
Yeah.
Hope Machilikuk can chuck it up there.
Sounds more like a hockey player to me. And they get a couple of second-round picks as well.
This was a big deal, especially for Los Angeles. Now, they fought to get Patrick Beverley as a lockdown defender, but they're already moving him. He was not a Laker for very long. The Orlando Magic will be trading Mo Bamba to the Los Angeles Lakers for Patrick Beverley and a second-round pick. Mo Bamba was one of those guys that was rumored to possibly go to the Boston Celtics, a guy that kind of tore them up in the 3 games that they've lost to the Orlando Magic. But he will be going to the rival on the other side of the country, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, I think, listen, it just takes a couple of trades to get it going, and then once it gets going, everybody's like, well, why not? Why shouldn't we do something this year? Here's the thing that I could tell you from the major leagues. When you do something, it fires up everybody in that locker room. It gives you the sense that the front office has your back, and they're trying to win the season, and they're trying to help the ball club. When you do nothing, even though you have a great team and you do nothing, sometimes it's very disheartening in that locker room. I got called up in '88 with the Reds, and Rick Russell was out there. And the Pirates were looking to make a deal with the Reds. The Reds passed on it. Rick Russell goes to the Giants. Now, the Giants didn't go to the World Series that year, but they were in the mix to win the National League West. The next year, oh, my God, look at the Golden
Goldens
Labs.
have arrived to the Puppy Dome.
The next year, they went to the World Series on the back of mainly Rick Rhoden and Rick Russell.
Right.
So that trade, helped them for years and years and years. And it really, from 88 and 89 we finished in 5th place, obviously Pete Rose in that situation. But coming into 90, we didn't think we had the type of club that we might have had if we had made a few more trades the years before.
You always bring that up. I totally agree with you there. And on the other side, too, when you don't do anything. Like, when you don't do anything, it almost says to the locker room, you guys ain't worth it.
Even before I got there, the 3 years before me, they finished in second place. They were almost in the NLCS 3 years in a row. Then the 4th year was second place for 4 straight years. Didn't do anything. We finished in 5th in '89. They actually did make some deals. And one of the deals was Randy Myers for John Franco.
Right.
Now, John Franco in '89, that was my big year, my first full year. He got 39 saves, and I was setting him up. And I was like, oh, man, my job is solidified here. I'm helping this dude do his all-star job.
Bam,
and I'm like, man, and then snap of the finger, it's like new closer, younger closer, and he went to the Mets, and Randy came to us, and obviously we ended up winning the World Series. But, in that offseason from 89 to 90, now Lou Piniella becomes the manager, scared the hell out of me. Didn't know what my future was. So think a lot of these guys, especially if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you're thinking, hey, we're role players behind James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. Now all of a sudden, 2 years later, all 3 are gone, and you just basically blew up the entire organization.
Yeah, and then, too, I think with these teams out west, like, you go one by one. Los Angeles Lakers in this conversation totally stare me in the face. The Lakers are proving to their big fish, a guy who just broke the record for most points ever in the history of a career, that we're going for it. We're going to do something. If they were not to do anything, the Lakers were dead. Like, emotionally, they weren't going to check in for the rest of the season. But since they have made those moves, swapped out some of those guards, and have went big. I mean, their lineup got a lot bigger. And I think it says to LeBron and to the rest of the Lakers fan base and to the remainder of that team that, hey, this within 5 games of each other in the West. There's only like the Houston Rockets you can count out, and everyone else has still got a chance. Do you boys see any Sacramento Kings moves? Let me go look and see if old Vlade Divac and company is doing anything. I just have loved seeing that team at the top of the standings, and I think exactly what you're talking about is going to go on with them if they did not do anything. It's like, hey, we're third. we're a bunch of young guys. Like, you guys don't want to make any moves for us? Okay, and then, they'll probably go out with a loser kind of attitude because that's the way their management feels about them. I think for the Phoenix Suns, it's the new owner. I mean, you got a new owner that just got announced, 48 hours ago, and boom, makes this kind of deal. That sounds like Cohen to me. That sounds like exactly what your Mets are doing, where this guy is coming in there to tell not only that roster, Booker, Paul, Ayton, not only those guys that have been to the finals, but to the fan base and to the rest of the league. Like, watch out. I'm here to make moves. I'm here to win championships. I'm here to spend money.
Sacramento Kings got Kessler Edwards and cash considerations.
What
Brooklyn
a move.
Gets the draft rights to David Michinu.
Huge move.
Yep, huge move. Puts them over the top. And the cash considerations. Love it.
Well, I do think this for Dallas. Like, I do think that getting Kyrie on the court, and I saw a little bit of it last night, I think it motivated Tim Hardaway Jr. I think he's going to play out of his mind now when he has those two guys to defer to and also somewhat be a point guard. Like, that's the question of how those two are going to mix. I listened to Coach K on the morning show yesterday. I love what he said about it when he's talking about coaching Team USA. And Jason Kidd was the point guard there, who is the coach of the Dallas Mavs, was saying when LeBron and D. Wade and Kidd were playing together, there was a lot of turnovers right off the bat. And Jason Kidd was talking about, all right, I'm sorry, I got to slow it down for you guys. And LeBron and D. Wade said, no, we need to come to your level. That's our mission. And Coach K said just watching all that, he realized, in the old phrase, iron sharpens iron, but he used the phrase talent sharpens talent. And when you got talented people, they will figure it out somehow, some way. And Dallas, I'm a Spencer Dinwiddie fan. I like Finney Smith. But, when you bring in a Kyrie Irving, and we're just talking on the court when he's playing, he's a difference maker on the basketball court.
Most definitely. But we talked about this going to Dallas and Irving and Luka Doncic. There's only one ball.
Right.
And is there going to be enough ball to go around? Who's going to be the one that brings the ball up and distributes? And, I just think I hope for Kyrie's sake that there's some truth into what he was saying about, from year one with the Brooklyn Nets, that he didn't feel comfortable and he was looking for, a way to move on. But again, it seems like everywhere he goes, and you even brought up college.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even
high school.
High school.
I
mean, if you look at this kid, and as amazing as his talent is, it's kind of his nature to not be satisfied. And eventually, he's going to have to find a place where he's satisfied. I hope Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks make that where he's satisfied, because Luka Doncic, I think, is one of the top 5 players in the league. I think he's one of the most amazing guys. But, again, you have basically two of the same guys, two of the most amazing facilitators in basketball, and they're on the same squad.
Well, here's the difference, too, with what they're dealing with, what the Suns are about to deal with, than the Boston Celtics super team, the Miami Heat super team. Those super teams were constructed before the season started, and they had that time, that off-season time, to kind of play with each other. These dudes still, even though that game was last night, Doncic was on the bench. Doncic was in street clothes. He did not play in that game. So still don't know how
he's had a heel problem.
Even if when he comes back and he's 100%, there's going to be some bumps in that road. It's going to be tough for them to figure out where the spacing is, where they like the basketball. For them to do it in February, I don't see them catching the Denver Nuggets. I don't see them beating the Memphis Grizzlies in a 7-game series. I still will take those two teams at the top of the West because they're teams.
Right.
That's the thing we were talking about yesterday. They're deep, and they both play great defense. And they've been playing with the same roster for a long time. Like, the Grizz did not change much going into last season. The Denver Nuggets are on a mission to take those core guys they put together a couple of years ago and win an NBA Finals. So Dallas is there. Dallas is in the mix with all those teams in the West. Like, really from Dallas at the 4 spot all the way down to the Lakers, you're talking about a 5-game difference in there. So there's a lot that can happen out West.
All right, we got a few minutes. Let's talk about the UConn women last night against Marquette.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot of people thought that they'd come off South Carolina. You don't want to be the team, but it was the opposite way.
Yeah.
They came off the 4-point loss to #1 South Carolina, and they just it wasn't working. I mean, I'm really not going to get into length of all of the things that happened during that game because I think it was one game. They've been playing such beautiful basketball all season long. I think the one thing that concerns me is how many minutes they're playing, how tired some of them looked. I'll bring up Lou Lopez Seneschal. Watched her the entire game, and I watched Nika Mule in the fourth quarter. Actually, instead of going right, and this is something I've noticed for a long time, they love to start their offense going right all the time. Started going left, looking for Seneschal, trying to set her up for some threes, and she did. She scored a little bit. She ended up with 12 points, but I think she's exhausted. It looked like she was resting on offense, playing some good defense. But I think when you're playing 35-plus minutes every game, I don't care if you're a college athlete, by the end of the season, you are a little bit slower. You're not making the same cuts you were in the first 10, 15 games. And some of you said there were 17 turnovers?
19 turnovers.
19 turnovers. I'm going to say half of those were missed passes to spots that they were throwing to the open spot, thinking that one of them was going to fill that lane, and it didn't happen. And some of the throws they looked bad, but if you know UConn basketball like we do, it was because those are set plays.
Yep.
They're supposed to make a cut, come on a diagonal across the middle. They weren't there, and they turned into turnovers. Which again, I love how you describe this, and Bob describes this all the time. And Mike is that's no offense. There's no opportunity for 2 points right there. So you basically, and if they go down and score 2, that's a 4-point swing.
Yeah.
So, those turnovers that you're giving them, unforced turnovers on their side of the floor, really helped Marquette, and they won by 7.
No offense and disrespect to anyone else in the country that UConn has played, but South Carolina is a different animal. Like, South Carolina, to me, in women's basketball is like playing Alabama or Georgia in college football. The next week, you're busted up, man. Like, it's hard for you to muster the same amount of energy that you brought to the table with the #1, #2 country or team in the country. And like, they put every ounce of effort that they had Sunday into beating South Carolina at the XL Center. And you would just think, like, we were joking around what the spread would be, 40 and a half. Oh, boy, do we look stupid, and you would just think that this team rolls the ball out against anybody in the Big East, and they're going to come out with the win. Now, with this loss, they're now 13-1. Right in front of 12-2 Villanova. They got a get-right game on the weekend. They'll be at Georgetown. Then they have a Creighton home game on the 15th, then at Villanova, who's worked themselves into a 15 ranking over in the country right now. And that Maddie Segrist, man. Like I was saying with Marquette in the first hour, Villanova sees the opportunity to beat this team. And there's not many of them. I'm going to tell the country right now, get it while you can, because next year's team, even if Paige and Azzi somehow go to the WNBA, which they're not going to, if they never play basketball again, which they will, this next year's team is going to dominate. So get it now. And Villanova's got a good opportunity in the next couple of weeks.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk to Catherine Schubert from the Connecticut Humane Society. And still got the puppy pick'em. If you missed it, we're going to replay that in the 6 o'clock hour. They have picked the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
We call them the Beefs.
Wow.
Over the Philadelphia Eagles. We call them the Beagles. 9-5 was the final score.
Kind of a blowout.
Almost doubled them up. And for these puppies, 6-0 going into the big game this week. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Kurt Kaplan on the ones and twos.